I was really excited to see Hoppers. I saw like a huge amount of advertisements before it came out in March, and I was excited because I've been noodling around on this idea about scientists in kids' movies and how they're always the bad guys. You guys, I'm sure you've seen it, Paw Patrol 2, the Mighty Pups movie. You've seen it.
To all the haters out there who laughed at me and called me a mad scientist, who's laughing now?
I actually think that's not that interesting of an idea because it's pretty explainable. Like, if you have a superhero, you want a bad guy that's comparable to the superhero, but you also want them to be beatable, right? So you just make them a scientist and they've developed some device and the superhero can destroy the device, and then the scientist is just a normal dumb human and the threat is gone. And that's probably why scientists are always bad guys. But I was still excited to see a Pixar movie about science. That's exciting. I mean, it was exciting until I saw the Pixar movie about science. I know, another video essay about Hoppers 2026. There are so many. People can't stop talking about this movie. Just like its predecessor, Avatar, it has a huge cultural footprint that we will be talking about for years and years and years. How could you watch another dumb person talk about Hoppers? Well, I am going to. Sorry. So I will recap the movie for you now. Mabel is a child who is angry at the treatment of animals in classrooms. She tries to save them. It is implied she's done this many times.
Is that the Mabel?
It is. Her bag! It's moving!
She is incredibly angry as her mother drops her off at Grandma's. Grandma teaches her a calm down technique at the Glade. Future. Grandma is dead. Mabel is at the Glade just as Mayor Jerry and construction team are going to blow up the Beaver Dam in order to complete a beltway for the town of Beaverton. Textually, this beltway will save the average Beaverton resident 4 minutes on their commute, and it will connect Beaverton to itself.
Stop what you're doing! This is canceled! Hey, put that down!
Hey, get off the beaver dam!
We see flashbacks of Mabel arguing with Jerry, trying to bring this up to the public, doing demonstrations, and Jerry reveals he has permission to build because there are no animals in the Glade, which Mabel thinks is weird because she hangs out in the Glade all the time and there are animals. He tells her to get signatures from citizens within 48 hours before they pour the concrete. The movie takes place over the next 48 hours. Mabel is chill and kind and deals with all of this. Lacking a plan, she rushes into Dr. Sam's class. Apparently, Mabel is a student in this school and is failing. Dr. Sam says there's nothing you can do. You need a beaver. A beaver is a keystone species and will bring all the other animals back. Stuff happens. A bunch of things happen, and it turns out Dr. Sam is like a Nobel Prize winning level scientist in many, many fields and has done these huge advancements in all areas of biology and technology and robotics and computer programming. She has robots that are so exact they trick animals into thinking it is one of them. Also, she has avatar technology. She can take your brain and make you control a robot. And also, she has discovered that not only do animals have advanced communication with each other, but animals, bugs, fish, amphibians all communicate with each other. They all speak the same language, which like humans can't understand and never picked up on them all speaking the same language. That's kind of crazy. Mabel steals the beaver robot to go and convince a beaver to move to the Glade to save the Glade and to stop Jerry. She meets King George, a beaver king of the mammals, including the humans, and also the best character in the movie. The best Pixar character in like a really long time.
Let's welcome Mabel, everyone. There's always room for one more.
He is absolutely wasted on this movie. I really liked King George the beaver, and also beavers are just like a very cute animal to animate. And so I think that wins a lot of points just because like he's very cute. King George is just doing his best. He's dealing with all the squished animals in the kingdom because the humans are taking way more than their fair share. He's extremely positive and kind and even optimistic about the animals' ability to live together in this teeny tiny space they've been squished into. Sure, optimism in this movie. Mabel takes him and some animals to the Glade, and it turns out Jerry has installed a like speaker thing that's playing a noise to make the animals leave. So she tears it down, and the animals have a big party. Some of them move there, they build a dam, everyone's happy, and then Jerry blows up the second dam in the night and installs a bunch more speakers, and the animals move away again scared. And this makes Mabel very angry. She's a very angry character. That's like her character trait. She calls the council with the kingfish and the king bird and the king bug and King George for the mammals, and she's like, listen, humans, They just take. They're gonna keep taking, and they will not stop until all of you are torn from your homes. So the council, well, yeah, let's just squish Jerry. We'll squish Jerry. This makes King George mad at Mabel because he's not that type of guy. He wouldn't do that, and he's pissed. And then Mabel gives one of the most real, emotional speeches I've ever seen in a film.
Because I'm so tired of feeling this way. Like, everything's broken. I can't even fix this one little thing. I can't make a difference. Instead, I make everything worse. I am so tired of having to do this alone. Why doesn't anyone else care?
And King George, the best character in this movie, responds in the best way you could ever imagine someone responding to that speech.
I do. I'm gonna help you save that place. It matters to you, so it matters to me.
And together, George and Mabel are like, we're gonna save Jerry, and then we're gonna save the Glade. So things go awry. The animals kidnap Jerry and also Mabel, and seemingly while Mabel is conked out, they force the scientists via threat of apex predator to make a robot that looks like Jerry. And King Titus, the Bug King, gets put in the robot that looks like Jerry, and he's like, hey Mabel, I'm the bad guy. Let me deliver my plan to you. I'm going to go to the Glade where we're having a rally for the Beltway, and I'm going to squish the humans. I'm going to play the speakers that Jerry invented. We'll squish all the humans. You guys deserve it. Mabel, this is your fault. You're just like Jerry. And he takes off. Mabel and Jerry hatch a plan. Jerry gets in a beaver robot. They go to the Glade. And then King Titus has a hot mic moment where he's like, you guys, this is so awesome. I'm going to kill all the humans. And then I'm going to kill all the other mammals. Then I'm going to kill all the amphibians. I'm going to kill all the fish. It's going to be Bug World. It's going to be awesome. And they stop Titus. They get there, they stop Titus, and somehow this starts a forest fire. And Mabel's trying to put it out because she loves the Glade so much. And so King George leads all the mammals back to his big beaver dam. And he's like, you guys, we break down this beaver dam, the water will put out the fire, and Beaverton will be saved. So they start destroying it, and then, oh my god, all the birds and all the bugs and all the amphibians who heard King Titus's hot mic moment come to help the mammals save the humans. And they put out the fire, and there's a jump cut in time, and Mabel graduates, and she wants to work with Dr. Sam, but the university canceled all the science that made this movie possible. No more Avatar, and that's okay, because Dr. Sam has other stuff. And sure, the Glade was saved, and they built the Beltway somewhere else. And that's the movie. Yeesh. I feel like I've been using the word yeesh a lot. Is that a thing people even say anymore? Yeesh. Oof. I'd like to highlight one particular scene that I've been thinking about since March when I saw this movie in the theater. Imagine it. It's March 2026. I'm sitting in Hoppers. You know, I'm knitting. It's dark, but it's stockinette. I can knit in the dark. It's fine. And we get to this scene where Mabel's been conked in the head. She comes to. She's tied up. She looks over. Jerry's tied up. And we are led to believe that some sort of apex predator forced the scientists to build a Jerry robot for King Titus the Bug King to get into. Then they have King Titus, who is now the villain of this film, do the thing they do in Pixar movies, which is turn to camera and explain their motivations. And I guess Pixar thinks they can get away with that because they have a movie, The Incredibles, where they specifically call that out. But they do get away with it. But that's what's happening. King Titus explains his plan to Mabel. And he looks at Mabel and he goes, you humans are all the same. You're just like him. And he points to Jerry. You're just like him. You lied. You stole.
Are you kidding? You two are the same. You stole. You lied. You used us.
And Mabel is just down crest, just dispirited. And she's like, I am just like him. And I put my knitting down and I looked up and I was like, what the fuck? No, you're not. Silently. I'm not talking in a movie. Silently. I was like, no, you're not. What? Let us compare. Jerry lied to environmental governing bodies and his constituents. He built those giant devices from what? Misappropriated tax dollars to destroy the local fauna so that he could build the Beltway illegally. He stole and he lied. Mabel also stole and lied, right? She lied to King George. King George was like, "You're the best beaver I know." And Mabel was told not to disclose that she was a human. They didn't want the animals to know that they could do the avatar thing, and she didn't want to ruin her idol science experiment, so she was like, "Yeah, I'm a beaver." And then she also stole the beaver robot. Dr. Sam was like, "Please bring the beaver robot back." And Mabel was like, "I will bring it back later." So she stole and she lied. But Pixar, those are not the same level of stealing and lying. Mabel and Jerry are not in any way the same. That's a weird thing to say in the movie. Like, what is this? Philosophy 200, the ethics of lying. All lies are equally bad. No, all lies are not equally bad. They're not remotely the same. This is so weird, but it is a movie. It's a movie, right? So the bad guy tells our main character something that's obviously not true. And of course, because it's a movie, even though our main character believes that right now, surely she will realize that's not true in the future of the movie. There will be a call back to that moment, right? Like, Mabel will give up. She'll be at home, I don't know, drinking out of a straw, ordering from Shein, and then she'll hear a news story and look over and see Jerry the mayor shoving King George into like a cage and being like, "We're going to euthanize this crazy beaver," or something. And then Mabel would realize, like, "I'm not just like him. I'm better than him. I want to help the animals," and she would take off and save the day or something, right? Or maybe Mayor Jerry realizes the error of his ways, right? He realizes he needs Mabel's help, so he goes to find her, grabs her face, and he's like, "Mabel, you're not like me. You're better than me. You want to help the animals, help me help the animals," right? You would expect that to happen. We have a scene where the bad guy, the bad character, looks at our protagonist and he says, "You're just like this horrendous human being. All humans are the same." We know that's not true. Surely they'll call back to it and correct. They don't do that. That's not what happens. That's not what happens in the movie. In this scene, Mabel realizes she's just like Jerry, and we, the audience, are supposed to believe that that's true. We're supposed to go, "Huh, I guess lying and pretending to be a beaver is the same as lying to the EPA and destroying a natural habitat of a bunch of beavers. I guess those are the same." Hey kids, activism? Trying to stop elected officials from illegally destroying habitats is exactly the same as being an elected official and illegally destroying a habitat. That's what this movie says. This movie is instructing us, the audience, in this moment to be like, yeah, you know what? Mabel is a real piece of shit. She's being such a bummer about being angry about the environment all the time and talking about her dead grandma and trying to save the animals. Like, this is basically her fault. Maybe she should do something else. So the movie has her solve the current issue, and then she's like, "I guess I'll go finish my degree. I guess I'll just drop all this activism and interest in the environment and go be a scientist. I guess that'll help." To be fair, all animal scientists right now at this moment by default are becoming climate change scientists. But Mabel was specifically interested in the environment and in saving it and stopping the destruction of animal habitats. That's not the same as what Dr. Sam flips her chalkboard over and she's got like a picture of a dog with a talking collar on it. That's not what Mabel wanted to do. The big victory of this movie is like if we watched a movie where a kid was training to be an astronaut for a super long time, and then at the end he's like a train conductor. And you're like, okay, I guess those are both in transportation, but that's not really what the stated goals of the character were at the start of the film. I just want to pause and say that factually, in the Disney Pixar movie Hoppers that came out in March of 2026, we learn that this guy who broke the law, broke the trust of his constituents, stole their money, all to build a useless, ugly beltway that only saves 4 minutes of their commute to connect Beaverton to itself and destroy that habitat and evacuate all those animals. That guy, you see that guy. The movie tells us, like, well, Mabel, aren't you kind of like that guy? Aren't you kind of like this guy? You know, your activism, outreach, your protests, you're putting, like, physically your body on the line. She has broken her arm somehow. They don't tell us how. In one of these events, trying to save nature. She, her, is the same. The movie says they're the same. It's the same picture. This guy is doing illegal, destructive things. Mabel, aren't you a little bit like this guy because you're mad about him doing that? Hey, Mabel, all those feelings you're feeling about the destruction of your environment, stop. This movie's like the opposite of Inside Out. Put those feelings away. Stop being angry. It's kind of a bummer. You care about the environment and you're angry at its needless destruction? Grow up. You're so childish. Go into academia. That'll help. So I would like to discuss the message of this film and the implications of the message of this film. And to do that, I would like to compare it to some similar films from the same genre. I don't think you can see these. Why? Glare? I don't. Anyway, it's kind of funny to do that because Hoppers intentionally points out that Hoppers is just Avatar.
Whoa, you guys. This is like Avatar.
This is nothing like Avatar. Just give it back.
I mean, it was in the trailer and it was also in the film. They left that joke in the film to a chorus of children going, what is Avatar? Because in 2009, before Avatar the movie came out, when the trailers were running, that was like the whole discourse around the movie. They thought for sure it would be a flop, even though of course it came out and it was like the biggest movie of all time. But the discourse, like the late night hosts and like the people at your water cooler at work would be like, it's just like Dances with Wolves. It's just like Pocahontas from 1995. I will not be talking about Dances with Wolves because I want to focus specifically on children and family media. And also you couldn't force me to watch Dances with Wolves again. So let's just say Avatar 2009 came out and they compared it a lot to Pocahontas, which came out in 1995. And that's kind of funny because when Pocahontas came out in 1995, people were like, it's a lot like Fern Gully, which is a movie that came out in 1993. And these are all very comparable stories, right? But comparison is not critique. Stories can be the same, and that's so fine. If your friend was like, you know, I've never seen The Lion King, but I saw a really good stage production of Hamlet once, would you tell them, oh, then you don't have to see The Lion King? Absolutely not. It's the same story, but it's a totally different story. And God, if you haven't watched The Lion King, you have to see The Lion King, right? Because sometimes it's interesting to retell a story, maybe from a different character's point of view, maybe in a new way that's interesting to a new demographic, maybe as a joke. In a different movie about a different story, a self-referential thing.
My dad thought I was unfit to succeed him as king, so he banished me. My dad tried to start a new family, and Uncle sought to usurp him. The Twig Wars began. Next thing you know, they're like, hey, return from exile, you're the king. And I was like, okay.
So, I'm gonna compare all of these movies, but please focus on what I'm saying. It is not a criticism that all these movies are the same. That's just the reality of genre and tropes and storytelling. Instead, I think it's really informative to look at how all these stories are the same and see how their differences make them vary in quality and discuss why Hoppers sucks. So that's what we'll do. Except I'm not really going to talk about Moana. It, of course, is very strongly environmental, but the big theme in all these movies is like an in-group and an out-group, right? Like in Fern Gully, you have the little fairy sprites and the humans. And in Pocahontas, the Europeans and the Powhatans. And in Avatar, you have the humans and the Na'vi. And in Hoppers, you have the humans and the animals. Moana doesn't have like I guess maybe Maui, just like the gods, but it doesn't fit with the theme as strongly. I just think Moana really improves on Pocahontas, but there we go. We're not going to talk about it. It's fine. Okay, so broadly, these 4 movies have the same theme of like nature and environmentalism. You have an in-group, which I'm calling them that because they contain us, the humans. They are who we are supposed to see ourselves in and maybe reflect on whether that's good. Like the people who show up to tear up nature, to impose their own beliefs and their own way of life on this outgroup. You also have the outgroup of people who are just trying to live. Maybe they're curious about the broader world and they're interested in learning that, but they do not want the destruction of their ways and their livelihood and their civilization. The other group is there to teach a member of the in-group that nature is important, their way of life is valuable. And that's generally these movies. It's the same movie. So let's talk main characters. In Fern Gully, you have Krista. She's a little fairy. She's curious. She wants to explore. She flies up to see the bigger world and stuff. She wants to know what's beyond her small fairy world. Pocahontas, 2 years later, 1995, like incredibly similar. In the movie, she's curious. She's an explorer. She wants to know what's out there behind her small world. Avatar does something interesting. Jake Sully is a human. He's from the in-group. He's like a jarhead? Is that the right word? He's like a marine grunt. He's excited to be back following orders on a new mission and just turn his brain off. First 2 movies, our main character, our POV, is in the outgroup. We start from there, and we learn to be sympathetic of their world and their way of life. Avatar is really interesting because our POV character is like, hell yeah, let's fuck up some indigenous people's lives. I love to be back in the army. This is so good. I think this is so brave of James Cameron. Hot take, James Cameron is good at making movies. We start from the enemy's point of view, and he is like, I have 3 hours. Too long, too many hours for a movie. But he's like, I will force you to see that these Na'vi, these super tall blue people, you don't recognize yourself in them yet, but I will force you to. And he plays on hard mode because instead of starting from Tyrion's point of view, he starts from Jake Sully. And that's so interesting. You guys, Avatar is good. So in Hoppers, our main character, Mabel, is also part of the in-group. She is a human, but she starts the movie, unlike Jake Sully, she starts the movie sympathetic to the animals and the animal world. The same experience she has in the human world, where she's trying to get signatures and everyone is rude to her, they're ignoring her, they don't care about what she cares about. She turns into a beaver, she avatars into Beaverton, and all the animals act identically. They ignore her. They like walk away like she's a weirdo. That's such a strange way to play this. The plot of Hoppers is like if Thomas from Pocahontas, young Christian Bale, if Thomas snuck out of their settlement at night and found the chief of the Powhatan tribe and was like, dude, these people are straight up gonna kill you. Like, I just want you to know. The chief was like, you guys, like, pond rules. Like, I guess it'll happen if it happens. That's what happens in Hoppers. Mabel is an outcast in the human world and also immediately an outcast in the animal world. The movie really wants you to think Mabel is a bad person and should be shunned by everyone in her life. So that's that movie, I guess. These movies also have a main character in the in-group. Right, like Fern Gully, you start from a fairy's point of view, but there's Zach. So, Zach's a human. I would describe him as like aloof and ignorant. Like he's unaware that his job is destroying the forest. He's just listening to music. Like he's just like, this is just a job. He gets the new world, you know, magically shrunk by Krista, and he's like, whoa. I should care about nature, I guess. And he ends the movie, he leaves the fairy world, and he's ready to like educate other humans about the importance of nature. So like, pretty solid. Nice. Pocahontas, she's the main character from the out group. From the in group, it's of course John Smith. And I feel like some people might say that John Smith is also a main character. Like he has a lot of screen time in this movie. We hear a lot from him and his backstory. Like, yeah, he jumps overboard to save young Christian Bale from the ocean in a wet death. But like, also, we hear his backstory where he's like, this is my 100th new world. Like, I'm not that excited. We get there, we kill a bunch of indigenous people, like, whatever, it's not that big of a deal. And the movie really wants us to turn around on that and think of John Smith as like a hero. It's a weird movie because I'm not like super sympathetic to the colonizers, I guess, based on a historical event. Like, I know what happens after this, you guys, and why did they make this movie? I feel super weird about this movie in this group because, like, we have humans versus fairies, humans versus aliens, humans versus animals, and this is just also a group of humans. Like, these people are still around. Like, it's weird, and I feel bad calling them the outgroup when they are also just humans, but this is where we're at. This movie is so weird. I'm going to talk fast and try not to talk about it too much. Anyway, in Avatar, Jake Sully, like I said, he starts as the bad human. He kind of reminds me a lot of John Smith, actually. He's like ignorant and incurious. I would call Jake Sully dumb. He's completely uninterested in the science mission he's gotten involved in. He doesn't care that he's on an alien planet. He doesn't care that he's seeing aliens or like alien plants or alien animals. He's just so happy to be back on a mission because Jake Sully was injured in some sort of marine event and he's in a wheelchair and he got discharged. But now, because he had a twin brother that was dead and they had matching DNA, he gets to go be an avatar. But like, he's not interested at all in being an avatar. He lands on the new planet, scopes out the first military guys he sees, and he's like, hey, Daddy, I'm here. So glad to be a Marine again. James Cameron did say he based Neytiri, who's the alien love interest, on Pocahontas. So I'm sure James Cameron has seen Pocahontas, and maybe he saw that John Smith did not get redeemed successfully, so he tries really hard to do that with Jake Sully in Avatar. Oh, Jake Sully, John Smith, is that the same? It doesn't matter. Jake Sully, I think very importantly, does not give long, extended details on all the indigenous people he has killed. He doesn't let us know about that, so when we see him convert to a good guy, we don't have to think about that. If it even happened. We don't know, right? So I think that's a big gold star on Jake Sully. I do think some people find Jake Sully's redemption arc unrealistic because he does show up on this planet like, fuck these guys, let's light them up. I just think the combination of him being kind of dumb and also us not hearing his backstory allows me specifically to appreciate and believe his transition from like evil dum-dum to like righteous warrior, in my opinion. Hoppers the movie starts with a protagonist who fully believes and understands that animals are sentient beings that deserve rights, they deserve to have their communities, they deserve to have their homes. She is proven right via avatar technology. Not only do they have sentience, but they're also intelligent and they communicate and they have executive structure among their communities. And once she is shown all this and proven right about her beliefs about animals, the movie punishes her. Like, you fucking buzzkill, pond rules. Let's talk bad guys. Fern Gully is Hexus, played by Tim Curry. He is the spirit of destruction. He eats like smog and pollution and grows bigger, and he was trapped in a tree by the fairies and accidentally let out by Zack. So the big conflict of the film is Krista trying to get Hexus stuck back in a tree, and they do that successfully. Fairy magic stops Hexus. Zack and Krista realize this is not the only threat because humans are also capable of destruction, which is why Zack leaves the wonderful fairy world and goes back to educate the other humans. That's pretty solid. The bad guy in Pocahontas. Is it this guy? Or this guy? Billy Bones? It's this guy, and he's the bad guy because he wants gold. Again, this is based, I mean loosely, but based on real events. All these guys are the bad guys, actually. I know that. I have read books before. You can't convince me that all the other settlers were pretty chill except this one guy who wanted gold. The majority of these characters before and after they land in the New World have extensive conversations about how John Smith will kill all the savages, and I want to kill a savage, and I can't wait to kill the savage and steal their stuff and take their land. Like, they're all the bad guys. According to the movie, though, the guy who wants gold is the bad one. I can't believe they made this movie. How did they make this movie? In Avatar, the bad guy is this guy, and also all the other humans. I have developed such a deep appreciation for Avatar. In Ferngully, Hexus is the spirit of destruction. He's bad because he's bad. In Avatar, he's bad because he's bad. Avatar is a very angry movie. This bad guy is bad because some dudes are just bad. Evil exists, and it's often wrapped in war clothes, and you need to snuff it out. I don't know if you've watched Avatar lately, but it is furious. It is a furious movie. It is so angry at the military-industrial complex, rightfully so, and it's fantastic. So, like I said, I watched Avatar in 2009. I went to a midnight showing. I used to do that. I was young once, and I was like, that was fine. Haven't thought about it since. I watched it again recently, and I liked it a lot, but it reminded me a lot of The Word for World is Forest, which is a novel by Ursula K. Le Guin. It reminded me so much that I know all stories are the same, and it's not a big deal, but James Cameron owes her estate money for that one. The Word for World is Forest is a story of a planet that's mostly forest, and on it are these little green men. And humans from Earth show up because they want to log it. And just like Avatar, this novel is furious. This time at Vietnam, of course. And I loved that book. The little green men, they realize the humans will take and take and take. There's nothing they can do to appease them. There's nothing they can do to make them friends. And it's a bloodbath. And I thought it greatly inspired Avatar. Surely, I couldn't find anything about him saying that it did. He said he watched Pocahontas. Pocahontas is not an angry movie. Avatar is angry. But then I heard that Ursula K. Le Guin did not like The Word for World is Forest. After it had been written, she realized, well, let me read to you. So this is Ursula K. Le Guin, The Language of the Night essays on writing and science fiction. I'm going to read to you when she wrote The Word for World is Forest and how she feels about it now. I had been helping organize and participating in nonviolent demonstrations, first against atomic bomb testing, then against the pursuance of a war in Vietnam. I don't know how many times I walked down Alder Street in the rain, feeling useless, foolish, and obstinate, along with 10 or 20 or 100 other foolish and obstinate souls. There was always somebody taking pictures of us, not the press, odd-looking people with cheap cameras, John Birchers, FBI, CIA, crackpots, no telling. I used to grin at them, or stick out my tongue. One of my fiercer friends brought a camera once and took pictures of the picture takers. Anyhow, there was a peace movement, and I was in it, and so had a channel of action and expression for my ethical and political opinions totally separate from my writing. And then she goes to England, and she says, as a guest and a foreigner, I had no such outlet. In 1968 was a bitter year for those who opposed the war. The lies and hypocrisies redoubled, so did the killing. Moreover, it was becoming clear that the ethic which approved the defoliation of forests and grain lands and the murder of non-combatants in the name of peace was only a corollary of the ethic which permits the despolition of natural resources for private profit, or the GNP, and the murder of the creatures of the earth in the name of man. The victory of the ethic of exploitation in all societies seemed as inevitable as it was disastrous. It was from such pressures internalized that this story resulted, forced out, in a sense against my conscious resistance. I have said elsewhere that I never wrote a story more easily, fluently, surely, and with less pleasure. American involvement in Vietnam is now past, the immediately intolerable pressures have shifted from other areas, and so the moralizing aspects of the story are now plainly visible. These I regret, but I do not disclaim them either. The work must stand or fall on whatever elements it preserved of the yearning that underlies all specific outrage and protest, whatever tentative outrage is being made amidst anger and despair towards justice or wit or grace or liberty. So Ursula K. Le Guin wrote The Word for World is Forest in response to the Vietnam War. The war ended and she was like, this is so angry, it is so preachy, and I'm like, hell yeah. And I see a lot of that in Avatar. And when she talks about how she moved to England and she was now alone, she couldn't go to protests, she couldn't go to demonstrations, she had to make art, I think a lot about Mabel from Hoppers, who is alone in all of her protests. She is so alone in this movie, no one will listen to her, and she is right. And she is angry, and the movie refuses to let her be angry. The thing about Hoppers is that the bad guy is not Mayor Jerry. The bad guy is not the guy that started the plot, destroyed the glade, stole from the taxpayers, pushed all the animals, shoved them into a little hole. That's not the bad guy according to the movie. The bad guy is King Titus. King Titus the Bug King. And King Titus has a real Magneto problem. I'm a DC guy. I don't know a lot about X-Men. All I know is the movies. Da-na-na-na-na-na. You know, Magneto in the movies is an interesting bad guy because Magneto is right. Magneto is a bad guy that is correct and then makes a plan that will deal with his problem, and it kind of edges into evil plan, making him a bad guy. Magneto is like, hey, I was in the Holocaust, and I saw what people did to me and people like me because we were othered, and now as an X-Men, I see us getting othered. I know where this leads. He's correct. And he tells Charles, like, hey, we have to protect ourselves. We have to protect these kids. He's right. That is true. And then he's like, so we should kill all the humans, which is taking it too far. And the weird thing is that because he takes it too far, people don't listen to him at all. Like, my dudes, he's still right. You should still protect these kids. The humans are still going to do the thing, and maybe you don't want to kill them all, but you need to plan for something, right? The thing that happens in Hoppers, Mabel convinces all the animals and the fish and the amphibians and the birds, the bugs, that like, hey, the humans won't stop. And King Titus is like, this is true. We're going to squish one guy. And everyone realizes like, yeah, we got to go along with this. The humans won't stop. And then Titus has a hot mic moment where he's like, and then we'll kill the birds too. And so that whole group of animals and bugs and amphibians decide, oh, this is a dumb plan. The humans are fine. And it's infuriating. That's why, like, yeah, that guy took it too far. But I mean, we could talk about how the humans are encroaching and squishing you and taking your homes. Like, they are still doing that, whether or not you kill them all. And I mean, you probably shouldn't kill them all, but like, also, there's the ending. Let's talk about the ending. This movie ends with a forest fire. You remember it. Mabel and Jerry save the humans from Titus and then somehow start a forest fire, right? And they run off. They run back to the lodge, which is like at the top of a mountain. And that's when George is like, I guess we'll destroy our home. We'll destroy this dam and flood the valley to stop the forest fire. So all the mammals start working together to save the dumb humans who started this problem in the first place, while the humans in the film are just standing there looking at a forest fire. Like, you have to go. If you see a fire, you have to go. This movie has the dumbest humans I've ever seen in my life. So the mammals start tearing apart the dam, and then the birds and the fish and the amphibians and the bugs are like, we'll help. Who cares that they've been encroaching on us for years and years and will still continue to take our homes because they've ignored any effort. They just build the beltway somewhere else. I was watching this in the theater and I saw the dumb humans standing there and the fire moving toward them, and I was like, oh, this is gonna get dark, but like, definitely they should burn it down. I actively was cheering for the forest fire in this movie, and then the fucking animals sacrificed another home to save the humans. I'm also really angry. Can you tell? Can you tell I'm really angry? This movie, for children, let's not forget this is a movie for children, states that the oppressed, the victims in this situation, should move out of their home, should get a new home, should then destroy that home to protect these dum-dums who have only hurt them while they stand in front of a forest fire waiting to die. There are no consequences. In Avatar, the Na'vi's home tree is destroyed, and they start shooting. They go to war. In Hoppers, they actively and excitedly dismantle the only home they have to save these dum-dums. They're the bad guys. Why are they giving the humans so many chances to act correct? It's ridiculous. This movie does not recognize that Mayor Jerry is the real villain. Mayor Jerry caused this mess by breaking the law and stealing from his constituents' tax dollars to put up speakers and destroy a habitat in his local community so he could build a beltway. And this movie is like, he's not a bad guy. He lives with his mom. He's Mayor Jerry. This is a movie for children, and they are saying, you always have to be the bigger person. Yeah, this guy is breaking the law and destroying your home. But if you are angry about that, aren't you just as bad as him? You're not allowed to be angry about the destruction of the environment. And in fact, when the guys destroying the environment cause even bigger problems, you will be forced to give up everything you've built from the remnants of what you used to have because they're idiots and they don't know what they're doing. This is a movie for children. This is the lesson for the children. What do you actually want children to get out of these stories? I think Fern Gully is really interesting because we learn nature is important and we stop the big bad, but there's also this honest discussion on, but humans still don't know this. Humans are still doing bad. And our main human guy, Zach, he's like, I gotta leave this magical world. I have to tell them this movie is about education. Zach would like point to camera, you child who watched Fern Gully in the 1990s, tell your friends about how important the rainforest is. And I think that's pretty solid. That's good. What did they want the children to take away from Pocahontas? Aren't we all savages?
They're savages, savages. I wonder if they even bleed. They're savages.
They're just like, can you believe they made this movie? But I want to give it a fair scratch. Pocahontas starts the movie and she's like, fuck my people. I want to do whatever I want. I want to go out there. And her father, the chief, is like, we kind of need you to take like a managerial role within the tribe. And she's like, fuck this. And then at the end, she learns like, hey, my culture is really important. Like, I need my community. I think these things are good. Like, this new world sounds very exciting, but my world needs me. My world is good. And that's what the children should take away. Okay. In Avatar, which is a family movie more than a kid's movie, but I mean, there's a theme park, so it's in here, right? We want the children to take away from Avatar that nature is important and we have to protect it, even if it means murder. And actually you scientists, you take money from an evil group or corporation because you just want to do your research and you're not bad. You die too. We will purge these crimes away with blood. That's Avatar. Specifically as a scientist, I find it very interesting that James Cameron made the scientist die in Avatar. Here's the thing. I think, personally, like, you're doing research, it does matter where your funding is coming from. And this girly pop, she knew that every piece of research information she was getting was going directly to the military, which was intent on destroying those people. So she claims like, oh, I just love the research I'm doing. I'm learning the language. And it's like, babe, you are murdering them and you die too. Hoppers actually references this, I think, because their scientists are specifically very secret. And when it's revealed what they're doing, the university shuts it down, which is, yeah, a university is going to shut down a moneymaker like that. Okay. I like Avatar so much, you guys. I'm no longer in the frame, you guys. Am I back? I'm back in the frame. Okay, what is the message the children should take away from Hoppers? If you want to protect your environment, you must only do approved actions with your specific government sponsor, and if you do anything else, you're a monster. like Mabel. She shows up at public events and tries to get people involved. She tries to get signatures. She's trying to educate the dum-dums in her town who don't give a shit. She literally breaks her arm somehow trying to get stuff done. She puts her body in the way of TNT because she believes the environment is important, and every single time she is ignored. And this movie, Hoppers, 2026, Disney Pixar, teaches us that, like, hey, maybe if you were just, like, nicer to the government, your glade would be saved, and they would just, you know, build the Beltway somewhere else in a different glade with a different beaver. But how do we see the main characters grow? And isn't their growth intended to model behavior for the children who are watching these films? Sure, let's look at Fern Gully. Krista learns that humans are more than just a myth. She learns they are interesting and complicated. Some humans are good, like Zach, but like they're just ignorant of the world, and so they need to be educated on it. She wanted to leave and explore the world, and she realizes, like, hey, well, that's fun and good. My home is also very important, and I should work to preserve it. And that's what happens to Pocahontas too. I don't know if you remember the movie, but like that's the plot. Like, she starts the movie being like, I want to go my own way. I don't care about my village or my people, whatever. And at the end, John Smith is like, I just got shot. I'm gonna die if I don't take a 4-month-long boat trip back to England to get medical help. And he's like, come with me. And Pocahontas is like, I'm needed here. See, that's growth. She realizes, like, her home, her culture is important, and she's needed there. That's what she learns. In Avatar, Jake Sully becomes a completely new person. He becomes a Na'vi, not only, like, spiritually, but also physically. Over this 3-hour movie, which is too long for a movie, Jake Sully is radicalized and becomes, like, a righteous defender of his people. Mabel realizes she was acting super childish. How dare she care about how humans impact the environment? Shouldn't she have realized that everyone wanted the Beltway? Imagine you're an 8-year-old living in the suburbs of Memphis. An evil Nazi and the biggest mass murderer the world has ever seen has decided to place 57 mostly unregulated natural gas turbine AI data centers. And he needs those to make AI-generated child pornography on his website, the social media site. He is heating your county, causing damage to the plants and the crops and the flora and the fauna. He is dumping toxic waste, industrial chemicals, shit like formaldehyde into your local environment, your waterways, your drinking water. And you go see Hoppers, and Hoppers is like, don't be mad. Don't burn it down. Don't go to college, become a scientist. Maybe you can befriend the monster and convince him to dump his chemicals somewhere else. That's this movie. It's the thing about me, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm a millennial. I'm like right at that age around where people like either have very young children or they're deciding to have children or they've decided not to have children. And the thing we're talking about when you make these decisions is like, what does the future look like? And one of the questions we ask in the world that we are in is, do you bring children into a burning world? Now, before you cancel me, I am not saying climate change is a reason to not have children or people who have children are bad because they are bringing children into a burning world. I don't think that's true. I think there is an answer to that question. Yes, I bring children into a burning world because of faith or hope or some belief. Of course, we are not alone in this. People have lived through worse times and brought children into the world and had to ask themselves similar questions. I realize that any child I may have might look at me with their beautiful baby face and they will say, why did you do this? Why did you bring me into a world that is on fire? And I think a good parent would have a fucking answer to that question. And the answer is not, stop being mad about the environment. You're kind of acting really childish right now. Children deserve respect. They do not deserve someone to take their real actual and very valid feelings of anger about the state of the world that they did not ask to be born into, and just tell them to shut the fuck up. You're being weird, just go to college. It's really upsetting. This movie is like Mabel grows as a person by putting her anger away. And because she's no longer angry, they solve the problem. And the solution was just that they also still built the Beltway somewhere else. They just moved it somewhere else. That's not a solution to the problem. It doesn't answer the question. I've literally been thinking about this movie since March. I saw it in March, and I don't understand why. Why did you make this if you don't have anything to say? Is this what you want us to tell children? Like, oh my god, you saw all of your friends get rescued by Apache helicopter from some flooded summer camp because the climate is changing and the world is on fire and you're worried about that? Stop being mad. You're being really childish. That's what they want us to tell the children. Listen, this movie is not the end of the world. This is a movie made by a giant corporation that pumps out, like, what, 2 to 6 of these every year. I don't think a lot of people saw this. It wasn't very good. I think they thought it was going to be really good because I saw way more advertising for this than I saw for, like, Elio, or I kind of like the Pixar Buzz Lightyear movie. Everyone hated it. I liked it. I don't know. It had some jokes. Like, it was fine. It's not the end of the world that they made a bad movie with a bad message. I don't think anyone's going to watch it. No one's going to remember this in 2 or 10 years. I saw this in March with 3 children ages like 4 to 10. And the younger kids only remembered the really scary parts. This movie is kind of scary. There's a couple like shocking moments. There's some weird body horror in this movie. If you're interested in that, you could watch it. And the older kid was like, oh, it was funny, I guess. Like, they didn't take the message away. I think it would require a couple watches for the children to feel that the movie was weird. And I don't think anyone's going to watch this more than once. It's not that big of a deal. This is a statement, I think, of where we are at. This movie, Hoppers, is the level of corporate-approved environmentalism that is acceptable in the year 2026. In 1993, they could say save the rainforest. In 2026, if you want to save specifically your environment and fuck everyone else, you probably should be nice to the mayor who's breaking all the laws and destroying the environment. That's where we're at. That's environmentalism in 2026. Jerry doesn't go to jail. He's not punished at all. He literally broke the law, and Disney is like, well, that's fine. But of course they are. The moral of stop being angry and maybe you can have a little bit of nature is the exact extreme amount. The line where Disney has set in 2026, this is the amount of environmentalism you can have in a movie. Don't you see? Angry protesters are just as bad as the people, the elected officials who break the law and destroy nature. Aren't you just as bad as them? That's the environmentalism of this movie. I do wonder what the original script said, or what the original script intended. You can tell it's very muddled. I feel like you can see the rewrites. There is one scene in this movie that is repurposed like 4 or 5 or 6 times. That's the grandma sitting on a rock, and it's the same scene, it's the same animation, they don't redo it. And she says,
"It's hard to be mad when you feel like you're part of something big."
And they kept shoving that in, I think because the director or the writer or whoever was assembling what they had at the end was like, this is really muddled. There's no point to this besides don't be angry. So maybe that's the point. The point is it's hard to be angry when you're on the earth. But the thing is, Daniel Chong, creator of Hoppers, it is really easy to be mad when you're a part of something big, especially when the thing you're a part of is using your name and your tax dollars to blow up the world. That is the big thing we're a part of. And sir, it's incredibly easy to be mad about it. And telling kids to not be mad about it is crazy pants. Daniel Chong has this TV series called We Bare Bears. It's really cute. I really like it a lot. Season 4, episode 34 is about Ranger Norm. and Ranger Norm is pretending to be a ranger, but really he's a developer, and he wants to level the forest and build a golf course, and he is stopping at nothing. He's putting himself in harm's way. He's gonna kill these bears. He's gonna level the trees to build a golf course. Daniel Chong understands some dudes are just bad, and they have to burn.
Not so tough now, are you, Rangers?
Well, I think it's time we bring this game to a close. Nail him, champ!
It wasn't like, hey, bears, let him build a golf course. Go calm down. You can live somewhere else. How did we get here? Daniel Chong? Also, I guess we will see where we actually are with environmentalism in 2027 when the live action cartoon Ferngully remake comes out. You can't replace Robin Williams or Tim Curry. This will be bad, surely. I don't know. I know there are people out there who will be like, why are you thinking about this? It's just a kid's movie. It doesn't matter. And those people are fucking monsters, and I will not spare a second thought to them. But you could say, like, what did I want? Like, what did I want from this? Did I want, like, a preachy, basic-ass movie that was, like, recycle? And that's the thing. I don't want preachy children's media, and I don't think all children's media has to have, like, a moral or a big, overwhelming theme of, like, eat your vegetables and be kind. Do you know what I mean? Children deserve fun, silly shit. Like, there's this song by Caspar Babypants called My Flea Has Dogs. It's about a kid who has a pet flea, and his pet flea has dogs. And it's goofy, and it's a banger.
Afghan long-hairs and little cocker spaniels, all of them are named Daisy or Daniel, and all of them are his and none are mine.
That does nothing for their development of moral character, but it's fun, and they have fun with it, and it's fun. Hopper has made a choice to be a movie with a moral. And then the moral was like, stop complaining that the government is poisoning your water and grow up. And I don't think we should say that to kids. I don't think that's positive. This is like an objectively terrible and harmful thing to say to children. Ferngully, I think, had a nice message. And it didn't feel preachy to me at all. I thought it was great. You can do this and not be preachy. And I don't think the alternative to avoid being preachy is to chide children for having feelings. There must be a better way to talk about climate change and environmentalism for children. Children are in the world is burning, and they deserve to know about that. You know, I watched Project Hail Mary recently, and they handled children learning about the climate change disaster that's coming up way better than fucking Hoppers did, and that wasn't even a movie for kids. They addressed it with children. I think the message of this movie is the most cynical thing I've ever seen put to screen. I think it's incredibly distressing that we went from this, save the rainforest, a statement we're allowed to make in a movie, to like, hey, yeah, sometimes people who work in the government break laws to destroy nature, but it's for your own good, it's for the Beltway, grow up. We've went from here to here, and that's scary, I guess. This is bleak. And end of video. never worn a lab coat before. That's like super hot. I'm a theorist, you know, whatever. But I wanted to talk about the science in this movie for just like a second, because like I mentioned, I think all of this is like Nobel Prize winning science, like the achievements of like building a human-shaped robot that convinces humans it's real, transferring people's like brains, like making a computer that is modeled so well, like a brain that it can articulate the little robots. That's crazy. Finding out animals communicate with each other and have societies. That is all so much crazy good science to happen in one tiny little town's basement university lab. It's unbelievable, but the most unbelievable part of this movie is that they were able to keep it secret for so long. Let me tell you something. I don't know if you've heard about administrative bloat in universities, but they keep firing professors. Or no, like professors will retire and then they won't rehire them. So all the classes are taught by adjuncts. The universities are just hiring, like they'll have a budget department with hundreds of people. I'm not joking, like 100 office workers at a university, but they won't hire a fucking teacher. And in this office worker building, there will be like a guy who's like, I'm the budget guy for your specific department. And he will, once every 2 years, go to every single lab and like scan little barcodes on all the equipment. And one time, I'm gonna change some things so I don't get outed as to who I'm talking about. There was a professor who had a lab. It was a lab, like a physics lab, and they did the thing where they scanned through. And this guy, who, you know, just doesn't know anything about science, just works at the university as like a business guy, he emailed the professor and he was like, hey, here's a list of like 6 things we're missing. We need those. And so the professor emailed the list to his postdoc, and the postdoc, you know, who's a professional scientist and gets paid less than the guy who's sending emails with lists of things, wastes his time searching for all these things. And one of them they couldn't find. It was like 7 years before, a grad student in the lab had gone to Home Depot and purchased like some copper wire, like a little $4 bag of copper wire. And then he brought it to the lab and he submitted a little receipt to like, give me my $4. Because when you're a grad student, $4 is a hell of a lot of money, especially, God, this would have been like 2002. And so he gets his $4 back 7 years later. Totally different postdoc is now tasked with finding a little 36-inch copper wire that was at Home Depot for like $4 7 years earlier. So he tells the professor like, hey, obviously I can't find this. And the professor emails the guy and he's like, hey, here are the things, but like obviously we can't find this. And the guy was like, well, why not? I need you to find it. We need it for the budget. We need to calculate the devaluation for it. It was $4 7 years ago. How do we know how much it's worth now? What is it? What quality is it now? Is it still in good shape? And the professor was like, my guy, asking me where 36 inches of copper wire is like asking someone where their roll of duct tape they bought 10 years ago is. It's all over. It was used 1,000 different times. What do you mean? Where is it? And they went back and forth, and the guy was so pissed he escalated to his boss. And his boss was like going to bat for his employee and was like, he says you need to find it. I don't have time to look at this. And like, okay, you're not even a professor. This is a university. You don't teach. Like, what are you so busy with? So he emails the professor like, this needs to be done, or we might have to elevate this. We might have to report to the government. Like, what are you doing with this $4 wire? And this went back and forth, months. And finally, the postdoc just went to Home Depot and bought a new one and slapped a label on it, submitted his, like, I guess it's probably $7, you know, 7 years later, submitted for reimbursement and was just like, this is future postdocs' problem. They'll figure this out in 3 years. And that was the end of the story. So when you tell me Dr. Sam has a basement lab with hundreds of thousands of dollars of robotics equipment in it and the university is just unaware, that's the most unrealistic science thing in this movie. So, yeah, end of video for real this time.